Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Earlier today, Poland officially received its initial batch of M142 HIMARS rocket launchers. In February 2019, Poland signed a contract with the United States to buy 20 of the multi-launch rocket launchers. Deputy Prime Minister Mariusz Błaszczak announced that the first sets will go to the 16th Mechanised Division, which guards the so-called Suwałki Gap in northeast Poland. Polish Defence Minister Mariusz Błaszczak said the equipment would be immediately incorporated into the National Army and will be deployed to the northeast of the country to strengthen NATO's eastern flank, which borders Russian ally Belarus. We incorporate the HIMARS, High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, into the Polish Army today. The equipment has been tested in combat, tested by the Ukrainians resisting the Russian invasion. This weapon will be delivered to the northeastern part of our country, to the 16th Mechanised Division, and its role will be to scare off the aggressor, to strengthen the Polish army at the eastern NATO flank. The United States State Department in February approved the potential sale of long-range missiles, rockets and launchers to Poland, including 18 HIMARS launchers. Earlier this month, Błaszczak announced that Poland will establish a service centres for HIMARS rocket launchers in 2023 and is negotiating an order for 500 more launchers. On Sunday, a Ukrainian brigade fired an F-70 Howitzer towards Russian troops stationed in the town of Kreminna in the eastern Luhansk region. Meanwhile, early this morning, shelling hit an apartment complex in Yasynovata, a tiny town to the north of Donetsk, which is currently under Russian control. One of the soldiers, Volodymyr, said the unit had been holding Russian troops back to help an advance of Ukrainian infantry, but aggressive Russian forces were attacking repeatedly despite their efforts, Volodymyr added. We have been recently holding the enemy back and helping our infantry troops to advance. The enemy is aggressive, it advances, we hold it back, but it keeps attacking. His brigade's howitzer was of a similar type to one supplied by Estonia in a January package that also included thousands of rounds of artillery, support vehicles for artillery units, and hundreds of anti-tank grenade launchers with ammunition. After keeping its troops on the defensive for 6 months, Ukraine is preparing to launch major assaults to reclaim territory using newly acquired weapons from the west. It has already achieved its biggest gain since November in fighting around the city of Bakhmut since last week. Meanwhile, an apartment building in the small city of Yasynovata, to the north of Russian-controlled Donetsk, was shelled in the early hours of Monday morning. No casualties were reported. One apartment was severely damaged in the shelling, which has been blamed on Ukraine. The shelling started at 6:50. We were all asleep. It's very difficult, of course, to see and hear all of this, but we survived. That's the main thing. Everybody in our block is alive. Cars are wrecked, the windows are shattered, but people are alive. That's the main thing. There were about 15 strikes. My wife and I ran onto the landing and waited with our neighbours for the nightmare to end. Now we are clearing the gifts from the Ukrainian army. Yes, we were lucky. The sappers will arrive soon. They will remove it because it's kind of dangerous. So now we wait, just clearing up the rubble. Local residents showed Reuters reporters the damage, including an unexploded shell that was left lying on the floor. Volodymyr Zelensky said he hoped to create a jets coalition after the United Kingdom promised to supply long-range attack drones when he visited the country earlier today. Ukrainian President Zelensky met Prime Minister Rishi Sunak at the British leader's official country residence, Chequers, where the pair discussed Ukraine's request for Western fighter jets. Zelensky's short visit came following stops in Rome, Berlin and Paris during a European tour aimed at securing new weapons for a Ukrainian counter-offensive against Russia.
Thank you very much. Today we spoke about the jets, very important topic for us, because we can't control the sky, you know it. So I think you know everything deeply, because we're real partners. Rishi knows all the details, what's going on our battlefield. Thank you very much. And we want to create this jets coalition, and I'm very positive with it. We spoke about it, and I see that in the closest time you will hear some, I think, very important decisions, but we have to work a little bit more on it.
Britain said it will begin basic training of Ukrainian pilots this summer, hand in hand with UK efforts to work with other countries on providing F-16 jets. Sunak said Britain would provide Ukraine with hundreds of air defence missiles and further unmanned aerial systems, including new long-range attack drones with a range of more than 200 kilometres to be delivered over the coming months. Sunak's spokesman also said Britain had no plans to send fighter jets to Ukraine.
Yes, look, we are going to be a key part of the coalition of countries that provides that support to Vladimir and Ukraine. Now, it is not a straightforward thing, as Vladimir and I have been discussing, to build up that fighter combat aircraft capability. It's not just the provision of planes, it's also the training of pilots and all the logistics that go alongside that. Now, the UK can play a big part of that. One thing we will be doing, starting actually relatively soon, is training of Ukrainian pilots, and that's something that we've discussed today. We're ready to implement those plans in relatively short order, which will mean that we're training Ukrainian citizens to become absolutely combat-ready aircraft pilots, and particularly whether it comes to NATO tactics as well, because that's an important part of the long-term relationship between our countries.
The Kremlin on Monday said Russia takes an extremely negative view of Britain's decision to supply Ukraine with more military hardware, but does not believe London's help will change the course of the conflict. France is poised to win record foreign investment pledges as President Emmanuel Macron received global business leaders today, including Tesla's Elon Musk, at the annual Choose France summit in Versailles.
For French President Macron, whose popularity has suffered from a widely unpopular proposal to raise the French retirement age, the summit is a chance to justify his pro-business reform drive and shift attention to his promotion of a lower-carbon industry, such as electric vehicles. Executives attending the event in Versailles, close to Paris, have so far made commitments to invest a combined 13 billion euros, the most since Macron first held the summit in 2018. Over the last 5 years, Macron has invited top CEOs to the opulent Versailles Palace to try to secure billions in foreign investments. For the former investment banker, who cannot stand again in elections due in 2027 after 2 terms, but is looking to his legacy, the summit offers a chance to move on from months of protests and strikes against his plans to raise the retirement age by 2 years to 64. He is also competing on the global stage for investment in green technology when the United States has become a magnet following the introduction of its Inflation Reduction Act. Tesla's plant near Berlin began delivering cars in March of 2022 and produces around 5,000 Model Y vehicles a week, with a maximum capacity of 500,000 cars per year. But although it has begun assembling batteries in Germany, Tesla has said it will focus cell production in the U.S. in light of IRA incentives, making it one of the first companies to declare a strategy shift prompted by the package. To counter that, Macron said last week France's existing cash incentive of up to 5,000 euros for buyers of new electric cars would be made conditional on their producers meeting tough low-carbon standards, effectively excluding cars made outside of Europe. France so far expects a total of 28 investment projects from companies ranging from U.S. pharmaceutical group Pfizer to Swedish furniture maker IKEA and investment bank Morgan Stanley. In total, the projects are expected to create 8,000 jobs. The single biggest investment is a 5.2 billion euro project from a Taiwanese car battery maker in the northern port city of Dunkirk, which Macron announced on Friday, May 12th. It is followed by a 1.5 billion euro battery components plant, also in Dunkirk, in a joint venture between Chinese group XTC and French firm Orano. IKEA has plans to invest 906 million euros by 2026, while Pfizer has budgeted 500 million euros to expand in France over the same period. Morgan Stanley is expected to announce the creation of 200 new banking jobs in Paris.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.